This is why Sweden could win World Cup 2026. Sweden are building a mega team, and who's to say that they won't win it? They have an amazing surplus of young, hungry and talented players, and at the moment they're all conquering the footballing world in their own ways. Only last week, Alexander Isak broke the British transfer record on his move from Newcastle to Liverpool, and only a week before that, Goalkeepers made the move to Arsenal for around £65 million. Now, the fact of the matter is that Sweden's last major tournament was back in 2020 when we played in the Euros, which obviously got delayed until 2021, but we did manage to get to the round of 16s. However, conceding a late goal against Ukraine knocked us out before getting to the quarterfinals. Even players such as Alexander Isak were playing and tore the scene apart, so who's to say they won't in the World Cup? They unfortunately missed out on getting to the World Cup in Qatar in 2022, and the same with reaching the Euros in Germany last summer. However, they are very hungry and are more determined now than ever to make it to the World Cup. Sweden are desperate, and they've made some managerial changes. They brought in Jon Dahl Tomasson, who's been there just over a year now, building the squad, building his tactics. He's had previous spells at Malmö, Blackburn Rovers, and also being the assistant manager of the Danish national side. He started quite well, winning 9 out of his first 14 games, but the real question is, will he do it in the World Cup qualifiers when it really matters? And those World Cup qualifiers start this weekend for Sweden, and both games are crucial. Both the games have been played away from home against Slovenia and Kosovo respectively, and 2 wins are incredibly important here to start off the campaign. In their group, they've only got 4 teams, including themselves. The others are Switzerland and then Slovenia and Kosovo, as mentioned. Now, as for the group, we've definitely had harder groups in previous campaigns. Now, however, you've got the likes of Switzerland, who are consistently making it to these big tournaments, and then young, hungry countries such as Slovenia and also Kosovo, with young players such as Sesko, who's now at Man United as well. So they're definitely not easy games, but 2 wins definitely needed to start off the campaign. Now, let's take a look at the squad that could be making it to the World Cup in 2026, because their squad is huge. After I mention some of these names, it is astounding how all of these players could be playing for the same national team, and they've not made a major tournament in 4 years. Starting off with the attack, of course, you've got Goalkeepers, who did amazingly at Sporting Lisbon and of course scored the most goals out of anyone in Europe. Then we've got Alexander Isak, who just made his massive move to Liverpool, and he's been bagging in goals for Newcastle over the last few years, helping them reach Champions League qualification and winning the Carabao Cup in their first trophy in 70 years. Then we've got some young, hungry wingers such as Rooney Bargi, who's now at Barcelona, not quite making it through the first team. However, he did make a big move from Copenhagen. Then moving on, you've got some great talent in Kulusevski, who is unfortunately injured at the moment. However, he's still a very big part of the squad. And then you've got Anthony Elanga, who just made his move to Newcastle. And that pace is terrifying. He is rapid, and he has already scored a few goals for Sweden. Then you've got some of the lesser known players, but who are still doing really well respectively. You've got Sebastian Nanasi, who is currently at Strasbourg in France, and he's doing very well after he made his move from the Swedish leagues. Then you've got Benjamin Nygren, who is currently at Celtic, and I believe he's scored 3 or 4 goals already in his first few games, so he's definitely started off well at Celtic, who's a very big club. Moving on to the midfield, which is looking amazing. It's very young and very hungry, so you've got the likes of Hugo Larsson, who's currently at Eintracht Frankfurt, and he's doing very well for his club. However, for his country so far, he had a bit of trouble with the previous manager. Now that the new manager's come in, he's back in the squad and nothing seems to be a problem, but his national development hadn't quite reached to where it should be. But he's scoring goals and assists for Eintracht, so who's to say he won't be a starter. Then you've got your 2 midfielders in the Prem again. You've got Yasin Ayari, who plays for Brighton, and he has made that move into the first team from being on the bench, playing the first few games for Brighton and doing quite well. And then you've got Lucas Bergvall, who is an amazing talent, came from Djurgården to Tottenham Hotspur now, and he has been playing a few games. He's not quite made himself to first team level, but he did of course win the Europa League last year. Then you've got Jens Kajuste, who has had issues previously. He was at Napoli and he looked like he could potentially start for them. However, that didn't work out. He went on loan to Ipswich, where he did alright, scored a few, I think he scored an unbelievable goal, but then it didn't quite work out, and I'm unsure where he is now. And then you've got the likes of the older boys, such as Emil Forsberg, who plays in the MLS side, previously obviously been at Leipzig for quite a while now. He's reaching his older years now, so I'm not sure he's going to be in the squad for the World Cup. Speaking of some of the older players, you've got Lindelof and Hjalmar Ekdal. Lindelof obviously been at Man United for quite some time and now gone to Aston Villa, which should be an interesting move. He's still not as old as you think, considering he's been, at the scene for 10 plus years now. I think he's in his early 30s at the moment. Hjalmar Ekdal is at Burnley, and he used to be a starter. He had a big injury that set him back, but he's definitely going to be in that squad. Then we've got Isakian, who is at Atalanta, and he's also quite some talent, being targeted by some really big clubs, and he's doing very well at Atalanta and for the national team, playing quite a few games now. Now for Leeds' new signing, Gabriel Gudmundsson, who is a left back for Leeds, and he started off the first few games really well. I think he's gotten unbelievable ratings in 2 of the 3. They did lose 5-0 to Gyökeres' Arsenal, unfortunately, but the 2 games that he hasn't lost, they have been really good, and he has been their star player. Now in goal, we've got 2 main candidates, I would say. You've got Robin Olsen in the experience. He's currently at Malmö. He's got 75 plus appearances for Sweden, and he knows what it takes to do it on the big stage. And then you've got the newer goalkeepers coming through, Victor Johansson, who is at Stoke City at the moment. And he's doing very well for them. I believe he's saved penalties and he's helped them quite a while. And they started off the season quite well, getting new signings as Aaron Creswell and Divin Mubama, previously of West Ham. So who's to say he won't take Robin Olsen's spot? And we'll see who the starting lineup is this weekend against Slovenia and Kosovo. But we need to start the campaign off strongly, and fingers crossed we can get 2 wins over the board. So you're telling me that squad could not win it? I think they can, but we'll only have to wait and see. Greece did it in 2004, Denmark did it in 92. Underdogs have always got a chance. I think hopefully at least we make to the competition. That is the most important thing, to get to a World Cup, because we've not been there for quite some time, and the players we've got now, who's to say we'll ever have that sort of quality again. So that's been all for this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to check out any of my other videos on the channel, it would be greatly appreciated, and let me know what other videos you'd like to see. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video.